And we are live here with the NAB Show Media Meet and Greet. This is the first time that we've ever done a live virtual networking event. I'm Chris Paff, the CEO of Chris Paff Tech Media LLC. It is my great pleasure to host Chris Brown, who is the NAB Show Director and EVP at the NAB. Chris joins us from DC. I'm in Upper Montclair, New Jersey, and we're so glad to be here with you. Please stick around. We're going to do a 20-minute conversation, and then we're going to move to the open conversation room. So please join us there. For those who don't know, this is on the Deal Room platform. And so what we're doing is opening up a month-long virtual networking event, if you will, where you can meet other participants who have registered on Deal Room. You can check out their profiles. You can have conversations with them one-on-one through great high-quality video. You can chat. You can set up meetings at NAB, and that's the whole purpose for this, is to drive toward real in-person physical meetings at NAB. That's April 23rd through the 27th in Las Vegas, and it is the first NAB, physical NAB, in 3 years. It's also the first NAB of the 20s. So welcome to the 2020s, everyone. And Chris, you know, since the last physical NAB, of course, there have been a lot of changes to the show, and that's really what we want to dive into now. NAB literally has been reimagined for NAB Show 2022. And I want you to take the audience through some of those changes, and we'll talk about some things, and we'll take some questions as well, of course. So why don't you dig into, first of all, let's talk about the sort of the four pillars that you and your team have laid out. That's the create, connect, capitalize, and intelligent content themes of the show.
Yeah, Chris, I appreciate it, and hello everyone, and happy to be here, and super excited actually to be building up to, as Chris said, our first opportunity to get together in a little while. Yeah, we have, as you said, reimagined the show, and let me put it this way: I think we're taking steps. I mean, we have understood, for even before the pandemic hit us, that we needed to continue to, inject new ways of driving energy, interactivity, more engagement at the show. And so this is not necessarily something that, happened overnight. It's something we've been thinking about for a number of years. And you might say, hey, we've had a lot of time now to think about it. But the reality is, that's not totally true either. I mean, we've kind of had to plan and replan, as you know, the event now several times over the last couple of years. So it's kind of something that we built to. But as Chris said, we have essentially reorganized the show around these four content pillars, with the intent of making it something that can be better understood, better navigated, and, if you will, personalized and curated for each person that's coming, to the show. And what we've tried to do in laying out these pillars is, have it reflect, broadly speaking, kind of how the industry's process, how the industry's workflow works. And our business is all about, content creation and distribution. So obviously, two significant pillars are creation and connection, which are about those two pieces of the equation. Capitalize is really about the monetization piece of it, which it makes the world go round, makes our industry go round, and is something obviously that's very important to everybody in the business. Kind of a new way to look at the show and look at some of the participants in the show, if you will. And then intelligent content is, brand new and is really meant to put a spotlight on how, important data is in today's environment, certainly for this industry, and how much it's driving change, in the business, and how much we expect it to drive change, going forward. So we've actually taken the whole show and we've kind of reset it based around these pillars, which means everything from how the trade show floor is laid out to how the conference content is organized. So what we've got is the create pillar, actually. And first of all, I should say, the other thing that has helped in this transition is that we actually have a new layout, a new physical layout at the Las Vegas Convention Center. So we've taken advantage of the opportunity presented by a brand new building being built at the Las Vegas Convention Center. You guys, most people, if you've been to our show, you've known, you've known South, Central, and North buildings. And we have used all of those buildings, in the past. Now there is a new West building, which is built, if you will, just north of or west of, depending on how you want to look at it, the North building in what used to be the old Gold parking lot. And it's a fantastic new facility that has 5, separate convention halls of its own. It's got some great new meeting space. It's a beautiful new building. It's something that totally changes the whole ambiance, I think, at that convention campus. And so we're actually going to move into that new building, and we're going to no longer have exhibits in the South building. So I know some of you will miss that part of it. The South building has always been, a key part of our show. It's been where the post-production folks have been. It's always had a great buzz, but it is also, I know, a bit hard on people's feet because it's kind of this massive bowling alley, that took 20 minutes to get from front to back, and 2 floors of it. So there was always a lot going on, but it had its own set of sort of logistical challenges for everybody. So we're moving into this new West building, and we haven't just taken South and shifted it to West. We've again reorganized everything around these pillars. So what you're going to find is in the West building, we've actually located that new intelligent content area, as well as our Connect pillar related exhibitors. In the North Hall, this is where you're going to find the Capitalize pillar located, as well as half of or part of, it's a little less than half of the Create pillar, which at this point makes up a majority of our show and show floor. And then Central Hall is all Create. And so that's how this floor will be organized. That's how we want people to navigate. And then the other thing that's important in this is we've introduced what we're calling experiential zones as well, to act as anchor points for each of those pillars, but also as gathering points, networking opportunities, learning environments, and really a place that we expect and are hoping people will go to kind of get a sense for, what the key trends are that are driving that particular, pillar, that particular side, of the content workflow. And there are 2 of those zones in each one of the halls. So I would certainly encourage people to kind of focus on those areas, look at what we've got planned in there. There will be a whole slate of on-floor educational sessions, free to everybody who's coming. There will be a hands-on demos. There will be startups featured. There is a whole lot going on within those zones. And again, we think this is part of, again, a step to change sort of how people consume the show, how they take it in. These are kind of hub points that give people an opportunity to get a sense for what they can see in that hall, and to help point them perhaps out to the things that are important and things that they should be paying attention to as they go through the.
So better wayfinding in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Curation is kind of one of the guiding principles of what we're trying to do. And as I say, I would love it if we get there in one big leap, but this is going to be a step. It's going to take us a few years to kind of change up, how people are used to going through the show. But we want to make it, and this is the good news, bad news of a larger event and a very diverse event, is that sometimes it can be pretty overwhelming, obviously, when you come in to kind of really sort and figure out, what's really relevant to you. And so these hubs, these zones are really, one part of an attempt to help.
Great time saver, but also a great way to introduce people to maybe some new themes. And you've added some new networking features as well, as I understand.
Yeah, these will be some test opportunities for us. See how it goes. But I'm really excited about these because this is, my view, and one of the things that is a tremendous value of most events, certainly our event, is the opportunity to meet other folks, exchange ideas, share your woes, your problems, and talk about how you're addressing those kinds of things. And so there's so much value, there's so much intelligence, in the audience itself. And the more opportunities we can give folks to actually interact with each other and actually glean those ideas. And it's not always easy to do that in a planned way or a scheduled way. A lot of that happens serendipitously, which is great. So what we're trying to do is sort of bring that together with a couple of concepts. One is fairly simple, and most people will be familiar with it, and that is just roundtables. So roundtable discussions that are actually happening on the show floor in those zones. These are sessions that are scheduled. People will have to plan to be part of those. They just add them to their schedule through our show website, and then they are signed up essentially and can come to that. They'll be then put into tables of 8 to 10 people. There'll be some facilitators there to help get the conversations going, but then it's essentially free flow conversation about focused subjects, about things that relate to that particular content pillar in each of those areas. So those are fairly free flow. Meet new people, sit with folks, talk about, share ideas, all those kinds of things. Done always happens, this kind of stuff, in a live type of environment where I'm the last person with a landline phone.
It's all right. It
Um,
must be important. But it's interesting because, of course, you are really bringing sort of a new vibe and a new feeling in terms of not only the networking side, but also something else, which is this idea of the vision of a hackathon. Talk about that maybe a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, we branded that program NABIQ, and we actually initially were sort of toying with the idea of doing a real hackathon where we would do a more software driven, technically driven, solution seeking kind of competition. Once we dug into that, trying to do that on a trade show floor in an open environment, a little bit complicated. So we've kind of taken that concept of the hackathon concept and applied it to ideas. And so these are idea hackathons. Again, sort of an interesting way to meet new people, but get involved in a much more active way than the roundtables. Here, what we would be doing, again, they're scheduled. You have to sign up through your planner. What would happen here is when you show up, you're actually then put on a team, and your team has an assignment. Your team is actually assigned a challenge. The challenges are on our website, and so you can pick one that actually relates to your interest. Solving real life problems for the industry. Could be design the perfect remote workflow.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things. So you're going to be developing an actual work product, which would be perhaps a flow chart. It would be perhaps a business concept. We've got a couple of interesting ones relative to, what if you could design the perfect metaverse business and you were pitching your business, what would that be? So you will have a fairly tight time frame, not much more than an hour to work with your team to kind of develop it. This will all be facilitated. You work through a template. You'll then present your concepts at the end of the session, and you'll be judged. And we'll pick out the best 10 of the ideas, because there end up being about, if all of them fill up, which we hope they will, and right now signups are pretty good, we'll end up with 60, 70 different concepts. We'll pick the best 10, and then we'll publish those out and feature those so people can see. And this is going to be cool, I think, because it's going to generate some really interesting ideas. We're also going to post pretty much all of the work that's created in the zones themselves, so people can come by and just sort of see the kind of ideas that are bubbling out of these hackathons.
And they will feel jealous that they didn't sign up if they didn't. And
Yeah.
by the way, for those who are sticking around at 1 o'clock Eastern, that's 7 p.m. Central European Time, Maria Duloquin, who's the creator of NIBIQ, will be in conversation with Feed Magazine's editor-in-chief, Neil Romanek. And before that, just another note, Gals and Gear founder Amy DeLuise will have a conversation with Rose Holtz. She's the founder, CEO of Screen Hits TV. Nikki Sun, host and creative director of NAB. And NAB Show spokesperson, excuse me. She's with Nikki Sun Media. We are going to hand it off to them after this. But yeah, Chris, in the time we have left, I wanted to get into some other kind of numbers here. But actually, even before then, let's talk about some of the people who will be there. I know you'd mentioned that our favorite people from Freakonomics will be at NAB, right?
Yeah, Stephen Dubner and Stephen Levitt, the original authors, who themselves have kind of created an interesting media brand. They have a podcast. They've managed to do really well.
I'm a listener.
Yeah, so they're always fascinating, and we've kind of asked them, and they've been great. They're going to tailor their presentation to, how can content producers, broadcasters be freaks, right? How should they be thinking, differently in this world? Yeah.
We have, I believe, Byron Allen, one of my favorite people. He's going to be on stage, right?
Yep, we've got a conversation with Byron. Actually, both of those programs are on Wednesday. By the way, Chris, that's an opportunity to just mention our schedule this year is different. This is something we've been looking to introduce for a couple of years, but instead of our traditional Monday to Thursday pattern, we're actually on a Sunday to Wednesday pattern. So the show floor will open Sunday morning at 10 a.m. for the first time in a long time. So new wrinkle.
Yeah, for those who remember back, the last show was the first time we did that, and I think I didn't know that until like a month before the show. But that was all the feedback, as you said. A lot of people from LA who just figured, hey, we got a working schedule, so let's come in on the weekend, and that works. Other people, Liz Clayman's favorite human, Cody Brigsby, the Peloton man, he's going to be there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Peloton's a great story. I know they've had some challenges lately, but obviously that is a media brand which has done it in a very different way and created a pretty amazing community. So we felt a really interesting example to dig into.
Right, and we have TikTok is speaking as well, right?
Yeah, social media, obviously, still so important, and the platforms are important, not only for what they represent in terms of showcasing content, but also, how broadcasters, other content producers can use them, to amplify what they're doing. And so TikTok, has an interesting message around all of that.
Right. Nick Cannon, I believe, is showing up. Is that right?
Yeah, Nick Cannon. We had a couple people that believe it or not, we booked 3 times, right? we had Nick was set to be with us in 2020. Jim Gaffigan also will be with us on Sunday. We booked him 3 times, luckily, and very happy to have him. So yeah, both will be part of the program on that opening day.
And Jessica Rosenworcel, who's new FCC chair, excuse me, will be there, right?
Yeah, the legislative regulatory side of the equation always so important to this industry. And first female chair of the FCC, so we're excited to have her. She'll be part of the program on Monday. We've got a lot going on. Monday is, having been our traditional opening day, we do kind of have our traditional opening session with our CEO giving his address. We have a new CEO, Curtis Legit, so excited for him to be up on stage in his first opportunity, giving out our Distinguished Service Award to our former CEO, Gordon Smith, who couldn't be a more deserving person. And I've been honored to have been able to work with Gordon for the last 12 years. So we're excited about that. That kicks off Monday. We then go into the Jessica Rosenworcel session. Curtis will be doing a kind of one-on-one fireside with her. We have a lot going on. Our main stage, by the way, just so folks know for navigation, kind of where it was in 19. For those of you who were there, it's in the North building on the adjacent to the show floor.
Right, and in the time we have left, So numbers, how many exhibitors do you think we'll have this year, and how many attendees? I'm sure that's the question on many people's minds.
Sure. Yeah, me too. I'm anxious to know. I think I have a pretty good sense for exhibitors. Still, jury's out on attendees. We hope everybody will go. On the exhibitor side, we're sitting at just over 900. We still have some time and we're still getting interest. So I'm guessing we'll end up around 950 or so if we're lucky, pushing 1,000. Which in a normal year we'd have 15 to 1,600. We're very excited about that. It's a great list. All of the major anchor companies are back in the show. Essentially, with really only a couple holdouts there. So all the brands that from Grass Valley to Ross Video to Evertz to Microsoft, AWS, and MediaKind, I'm happy to say, are all anchoring the new intelligent content area. So that's going to make that area, I think, very exciting. Blackmagic, of course, will be our largest exhibitor, our largest footprint. And believe it or not, they're taking, the largest footprint they ever have at the show. So that's very exciting as well. They're anchoring the North building. So again, most people would expect them south. Now they're north. They went south to north. So 950 or so, hopefully, exhibitors. On the attendance side, we're expecting at least 50,000, hopefully closer to 60,000, total registrants for the show. Our registrations have just been growing exponentially over the last couple of weeks. We're doing, well over, 4,000 or 5,000 the last couple, each week, and 1,000 or more a day. So again, that's projecting out to where we should easily, bump over 50,000.
And of course, this session is going to massively increase registration, as we know, because word of mouth is everything. But quite seriously, I would think that there'd be a lot of pent up demand. And of course, COVID has played a massive role in all this. So before we jump over to the open discussion room, just tell all of our participants here what they should expect with regard to COVID protocols at the NAB show.
Sure. Well, it's been important, and it is still important that we maintain a safe environment. The pandemic is still with us. We need to be careful. So to be able to enter the show, everyone will have to be able to show either proof that they are fully vaccinated or proof of a negative test. And so, that again, once they have done that, and that we have an app that's available, all of this information is on our website. It can all be done in advance of the show if you want. You can upload your card, or you can do it,
or use the Clear if you have the Clear app as well.
Actually, it's a different app that we're using. It's
okay.
WellCheck. It's essentially set up the same way.
Right.
So take a few minutes to kind of just get all your information in there. And as I say, once you've done it once, you check in at the show that, then you're good to go. You don't have to test every day. You don't have to show that proof of vaccination every day. All of those kinds of things.
And we should remind people, download the NAB Show app if you haven't already. Do that for sure. If you're registered for the show, you already received an email with regard to COVID protocol, but please check all of that. But it should be pretty straightforward. And I know you and your team have done, of course, an incredible job. But you did get this great gift during the pandemic of the new West Hall. And I was at CES. I was in the West Hall. It was more like a science fiction movie. So I'll look forward to seeing the West Hall with lots of humans this time. And that's the time we have for this one-on-one conversation. Chris and I are going to jump out of here. We encourage you to do the same, and then go over, if you can stick around, to the open discussion room where we will have a discussion. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for this time. And by the way, for those who are wondering if their friend wanted to be here, this has been recorded, and at some point very soon will be posted here. So before we go, again, set up your meetings. Please go through all the fabulous attendees who have registered. You can still register. We're networking all month long. But it's also a great way, Deal Room, to set up your NAB in-person meetings. So without further ado, thank you, Chris Brown. We'll see you on the other side in just a second in the open discussion room. Thanks, everyone.